Welcome back to Building on a Budget Models for the third part of the Hasegawa Jaguar XJR-9 LM build. Don't forget to click subscribe and hit the bell button to stay notified. Now, as I'd said in the previous video, I decided not to use the purple decals, but there were still a lot of decals that needed to go onto the car, even without those. I started with the largest ones, which included some of these yellow and British Racing Green stripes, which seem to surround all the purple areas and go down either side of the cockpit. These were still in fairly good condition, considering these were the original decals and are about 30 years old, but did split in some places. But with a bit of extra setting solution, microsol, they went on okay. Don't forget to follow the channel on Instagram to stay updated and see behind the scenes photos. Some of these yellow stripes that went on the side were split into several different sections, and that was to fit around some of the vents. Also, on the case of this side, there was an alternative one where there were two vents, and so therefore they were split. Most of the decals were slightly too long though, which meant that you could wrap them around the bodywork of the car. The yellow decals that went around the tops of the headlights were particularly awkward because of their unusual shapes. However, when mistakes happen, you just need to persevere, stay calm, use a little bit of extra setting solution, and yeah, they worked out okay. The cotton bud is very useful in this situation. I found that these decals were very liable to stick to your fingers even after you'd washed your hands, so a damp cotton bud is really useful. It's also important to use a clean paintbrush for jobs like this. Don't use one that you also use for painting, as imperfections and bits of paint could get into the decal solution, which could harm your decals. The stripes that went alongside the cockpit of the car then went into one of the vents halfway down. And then towards the back end of the car there were a few slots where there were smaller parts of the decal to fit in there. They went in quite nicely, and after varnishing the car, or polishing the car later, I will add a little bit of panel line accent to give these areas a little bit more depth. As you can see here, this one did split a little bit. As I said before, it's important just to stay calm and you'll get it sorted. I have to say that this is probably the most complicated set of decals I have ever used. So let me know how you think I got on in the comments. As you can see here, that you're using the very small yellow and green decals to fit inside those little slots. Using a cotton bud is useful, as well as the tweezers here, the tweezers to get them into place, but then the cotton bud to absorb some of the extra water or setting solution. I'm glad that these yellow decals are in so many parts, as if they were all in one part together, you'd find it very difficult. These yellow decals wrap around the back of the car, leaving room for the tail lights and also the V12 and XJR-9 logos. The coloured slots that fit in at the bottom here are different depending on which number car you choose, hence why the space has been left blank. As you can see here, the kit wanted to use purple decals, but I had masked off and painted these areas, so therefore I had the very delicate job of trimming the yellow lines and gluing them on individually. Setting them individually, I should say. This was a very fiddly job, and I didn't record all of it because my camera ran out of battery, unfortunately. But you can see how I'm getting on here and how long it's taking just to do one of these. Let me know how you think I got on and if it was the right decision to paint the purple instead of using the decals. Gently does it. Having done these yellow stripes, I then went on to do the silk cut decals. I had bought these from an online shop called Modelworks, and they came in various different scales, so the first thing I had to do was to work out which scale was right. Secondly, I was a little worried that they were too blue, but after putting them onto the car, I realised that this was just because of the blue backing paper that they were on, and in actual fact, the purple, while not a perfect match to the paint that I used, was good enough, and I was pretty happy with how they looked once they were on the car. I also made the decision to cut the silk and cut in half, as that made the application much easier. There were also some places here where some of the lettering needed to be cut in half in order to fit over some of the bodywork. Ironically here, the word cut was cut. I could recommend these letters, and also they'd be useful for various different scales. Quite tempted to get a 143 version of this car now that I've got the decals already. The barcode decal here, which goes on the back, was used from the set, and the purple, again, as I say, wasn't an exact match, but it's good enough, I feel. There were small slots to fit over parts of the car, such as the clips for the wheel covers. Decided to make the car number 2 to match the Le Mans winning car from 1988. I like these numbers. I find that they remind me of the numbers from Mario Kart 64. Let me know if you get that reference. Pretty happy with that. For the number on the front of the car, the instructions wanted a small white decal to go underneath it. However, when I'd looked at the real one, it didn't have it, so I decided to leave those off. Cars 1, 2 and 3 had these P&O European Ferry logos, whereas cars 21 and 22 had an Emil Frey logo. It's quite nice that this set includes the correct decals for all 5 cars entered in Le Mans. These Group C logos that go over the sides of the cars actually go over part of the door hinge, and as you can see here, in reality are cut slightly. There's a slight recess in the body, but it's nowhere near as deep as the real one. I may use some panel line accent to add a little shading here after the gloss coat has gone on. The names of the drivers, Jan Lammers, Johnny Dumfries and Andy Wallace, went onto the roof really nicely. I was worried that these had yellowed a little bit with age, but they were still crisp and white when they went on. The real ones, as you can see there, the flags of the drivers have actually disappeared a little with age. It was then time to put some of the white decals onto the sides. My Uncle Sean, who works for Jaguar, informed me recently that these style of Jaguar logos, as you can see here, are referred to as leapers, whereas the badge that you will often see on the grille of a Jaguar with the roaring cat face are referred to as growlers. The more you know. I presume these Dunlop logos are here because the rear tyres are completely hidden behind the wheel covers, so therefore they were able to give a little bit of extra advertising to the tyre manufacturer. There are these TWR logos here at the front for Tom Walkinshaw Racing. I've also bought the Hasegawa TWR Jaguar XJR touring car, which I hope to do another video build for at some point in the future. These logos here are for the World Sports Car Championship, and behind them were some Jaguar Sport logos. For some reason the Jaguar part of this was in white. Some of these on the real car have actually been covered up by heritage stickers such as from the Goodwood Hill Climb. There are small logos here to say push or pousser in French. And that is pretty much all of the decals done. And here it is. I have given this 4 coats of Mr. Super Clear UV Cut, which should hopefully help the car from going yellow, apart from the parts which are already yellow. I'm pretty happy with how this looks. As I said, I think this is probably one of the most complicated decal sets that I've ever used. I'll give it a little wet sand and a polish later on when I'm sure that this has cured. The dashboard here needs to be in grey, and I'll do that once I've polished it as well. You can also see here that I've put the Silk Cut and P&O logos onto the rear wing. So let me know what you think. Please comment, like, share and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.